Story 1. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my sister wear white to my wedding? I recently got married, and I was so excited for my special day. Everything seemed perfect until my sister decided to make things complicated. A few weeks before the wedding, she excitedly told me she found the perfect dress to wear. Naturally, I wanted to see it, but when she showed me a picture, my heart sank. It was a white dress. And not just any white dress. This thing looked like it came straight out of a bridal shop. It had lace, it was long, and it screamed bride. I was stunned. I told her immediately that it wasn't appropriate for her to wear white to my wedding. Everyone knows that's a huge faux pas. But instead of apologizing, she just laughed and said I was overreacting. It's just a color, she said. No one's going to confuse me for the bride. I tried explaining that it wasn't about people mistaking her for me. It was about respecting the tradition. She's my sister. I thought she would understand, but she kept pushing back. She even said I was being too uptight and that no one cared about those old-fashioned rules anymore. Then she went to my mom, hoping to get her on her side, and to my absolute shock, my mom agreed with her. My own mom. She said I was being too rigid, and that I should just let my sister wear what she wants. It turned into a huge family argument, with me feeling like I was the crazy one for just wanting a simple boundary to be respected. The day of the wedding came, and guess what? My sister showed up in the white dress anyway. I was furious, but I didn't want to cause a scene in front of all our guests, so I bit my tongue. The whole day, I kept glancing at her in that dress, feeling like my day was tainted by her selfishness. Now, weeks later, my sister still doesn't understand why I'm upset. She thinks I'm being ridiculous, and my mom keeps telling me to let it go. But I can't. I feel so betrayed by both of them. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my sister wear white to my wedding? Story 2. Am I the asshole for not letting my best friend use my wedding as her proposal spot? My wedding was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. After over a year of planning, everything was set to go. But about a week before the big day, my best friend Emily pulled me aside and dropped a bombshell on me. She asked if she could propose to her boyfriend during my wedding reception. I was stunned. I mean, I love Emily, but this felt way out of line. I thought weddings were about the couple getting married, not someone else's engagement. I tried to be diplomatic and told her that while I was happy for her, I didn't feel comfortable with her proposing during my reception. I wanted the focus to stay on my marriage and the celebration of that. Emily didn't take it well. She said I was being selfish and that her proposal would only take a few minutes. She claimed it would make the day even more special and memorable for everyone. I told her I didn't agree. The day was already going to be special enough without her taking the spotlight. Plus, I didn't want to look back at my wedding day and remember her engagement overshadowing it. She got really upset and accused me of not being a real friend. She even said she might not come to the wedding if I wouldn't let her propose. That felt like emotional blackmail to me. I didn't know what to say, so I told her that if she couldn't respect my wishes, maybe it was best if she didn't come at all. Fast forward to the wedding day, and Emily didn't show up. I was hurt, but honestly, I was relieved not to have the drama of a surprise proposal on top of everything else. Now, though, our friendship is strained. Some of our mutual friends think I should have let her have her moment, while others agree that she was being selfish. I'm torn. Was I being too harsh? Should I have let her propose, or was I right to draw the line? Am I the asshole for not letting my best friend propose at my wedding? Story 3. Am I the asshole for not letting my boyfriend move in because I want to live alone? I'm 28, and for the first time in my life, I finally have my own apartment. I've lived with roommates for years, but now it's just me, and I've never felt so free. I get to decorate how I want, come and go as I please, and enjoy my own space without anyone else's mess or noise. It's honestly a dream come true for me. My boyfriend, Matt, and I have been dating for a little over a year. Things have been going well between us, but lately, he's been dropping hints that he wants to move in with me. At first, I thought he was joking, but then he started bringing it up more and more. Eventually, he straight up asked if we could live together. I love Matt, but the idea of him moving in right now feels overwhelming. I'd barely had any time to enjoy living alone, and I told him as much. I explained that this is something I've looked forward to for years, and I'm not ready to give it up yet. I'm just not ready to take that next step. Matt didn't take it well. He accused me of being selfish, saying that if I really loved him, I'd want to be with him all the time. He even implied that maybe I wasn't serious about our relationship if I didn't want to live together. That really hurt because I do love him. I just love my independence too. Since then, things have been tense. He keeps making comments about how I'm choosing space over him, and I'm starting to feel guilty. But at the same time, I don't think I'm wrong for wanting to live alone for a while. We've only been dating a year, and I don't think rushing into living together is the right move. Now I'm torn. Should I let him move in to keep the peace, or is it okay to prioritize my own needs for a bit longer? Am I the asshole for not letting my boyfriend move in because I want to live alone? Story 4. Am I the asshole for telling my best friend she's ruining her life by marrying her fiancé? My best friend, Sarah, has been with her fiancé for about 2 years. From the beginning, I'd had my doubts about him. He's controlling, constantly checking her phone, telling her what to wear, and even making comments about who she can and can't hang out with. Sarah is an independent woman, but over the last year, I've seen her become a shadow of herself. She stopped going out with us, doesn't talk about her dreams anymore, and every decision she makes seems to revolve around him. When they announced their engagement, I was shocked. I couldn't believe she was actually going to marry this guy. I kept my mouth shut at first, thinking maybe I didn't know the full story. But as time went on, I saw how miserable she was becoming. She even confided in me that they argue all the time, but she always brushes it off, saying, "He loves me, that's just how he is." Last month, we went out for drinks, and she started talking about wedding plans. I couldn't hold it in any longer. I told her straight up that I didn't think she should marry him. I told her she deserved better, that she shouldn't have to change who she is to make someone else happy. She looked shocked and asked if I was serious. When I told her I was, she got really quiet. A few days later, she called me and said I had really upset her. She accused me of not supporting her happiness and trying to sabotage her relationship. I told her that wasn't my intention. I just didn't want to see her settle for someone who treated her so poorly. She got angry and said that as her best friend, I should stand by her no matter what. Now, she's barely talking to me. I've reached out a few times, but she's been distant. I'm starting to wonder if I went too far, but at the same time, I feel like I couldn't just sit back and let her make this huge mistake. Some of our mutual friends say I should have kept my opinion to myself and let her figure things out on her own. Others think I was right to speak up. Am I the asshole for telling my best friend she? Story 5. Am I the asshole for refusing to invite my stepmom to my baby shower after what she did? My dad remarried when I was 17, and to say I didn't get along with his new wife would be an understatement. My stepmom has always been cold and dismissive towards me, and we've never had a close relationship. When I got pregnant with my first child, I didn't expect much from her, but I also didn't expect her to do what she did. A few months into my pregnancy, I found out from a mutual acquaintance that my stepmom had been telling people that I wasn't ready to be a mother. She told them I was irresponsible, that I didn't have my life together, and that she feared for the baby's future. This absolutely crushed me. I'm in my late 20s, have a stable job, and my husband and I were over the moon about our baby. Hearing that she was spreading these lies behind my back made my blood boil. I confronted her, and she didn't even deny it. She shrugged and said, "I'm just concerned for the baby. You don't have much experience with kids, and it's a huge responsibility." I told her that was none of her business, and that if she couldn't support me, she didn't need to be involved at all. Fast forward to a few weeks before my baby shower, and my dad asked if I was going to invite my stepmom. I told him no. He looked surprised and asked why. I explained everything, and he just sighed and said, "You know how she is. She's just worried about you." I couldn't believe he was defending her. Now, my dad is upset with me for not inviting her, and my stepmom has been acting like the victim, saying I'm excluding her from her grandchild's life. Some of my family members think I'm being too harsh and should just invite her to keep the peace. But after what she did, I feel like I have every right to keep her out of this special moment in my life. Am I the asshole for refusing to invite my stepmom to my baby shower after what she did? Story 6. Am I the asshole for telling my husband I don't want his mom in the delivery room? I'm currently pregnant with my first child, and I'm getting closer to my due date. My husband and I have been going back and forth about who should be in the delivery room. Naturally, I want my mom there. She's always been my rock, and I know she'll be able to comfort me during one of the most intense moments of my life. But here's the problem. My husband's mom also wants to be in the room. She's been dropping hints for weeks, and now she's straight up told us that she expects to be there when the baby is born. I love my mother-in-law, but I'm just not comfortable with her being in the delivery room. It's a deeply personal moment, and I only want people there who I feel completely at ease with. When I told my husband that I didn't want his mom in the room, he got upset. He said that it was only fair, since my mom would be there, and that his mom had a right to see her grandchild being born too. I tried explaining that it wasn't about fairness, it was about my comfort. He didn't get it. He said I was being selfish and excluding his family from an important moment. Now, my mother-in-law has also started asking me directly about it, and I can tell she's heard that I'm hesitant to let her in. I don't want to cause any family drama, but at the same time, this is my birth experience, and I feel like I should have the final say in who's in the room with me. My husband and I have been arguing about this for weeks, and it's starting to put a strain on our relationship. He thinks I'm being unreasonable, and I'm starting to wonder if I'm in the wrong for not compromising. Am I the asshole for telling my husband I don't want his mom in the delivery room? Story 7. Am I the asshole for kicking my brother out of my wedding after he refused to walk me down the aisle? I'm the only daughter in my family, and since our dad passed away when I was 15, my older brother has always been like a second father to me. He was the one who helped me through the toughest times in my life, always there to support me when I needed him. So, when it came time for my wedding, it seemed only natural to ask him to walk me down the aisle. It was a way to honor the role he'd played in my life for so long. When I asked him, I noticed he hesitated. At first, I thought maybe it was just emotional for him, but then he outright refused. He told me he didn't want to do it because it felt like too much pressure, and he didn't want to be the center of attention. I was stunned. Here was the person who had stood by me through everything, who had always had my back, and now, on one of the most important days of my life, he couldn't do this one thing for me. I was devastated. I asked him to reconsider, but he stood firm, saying he didn't want to deal with the emotions of walking me down the aisle in front of everyone. He didn't want the responsibility. I even tried to compromise, suggesting that he could just walk me halfway, but he refused that too. It felt like such a slap in the face, like my feelings didn't matter to him at all. For days, I couldn't stop thinking about it. My fiancé and my friends tried to console me, saying that I should respect his decision, but deep down, I felt abandoned. This was my brother. He had always been my rock, and now, when I needed him most, he wasn't there for me. On the day of the wedding, my uncle ended up walking me down the aisle. The ceremony was beautiful, but I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal as I saw my brother sitting in the audience. He acted like nothing was wrong, and it only made me angrier. After the ceremony, I couldn't hold it in any longer. I confronted him, telling him how deeply he had hurt me by refusing to walk me down the aisle. Instead of apologizing, he got defensive and said I was being selfish, only thinking about my own feelings. That was the breaking point. I told him to leave the reception. I couldn't stand having him there, pretending everything was fine. He left without saying a word, and we haven't spoken since. My mom and some family members think I overreacted, saying I should have just let it go, but I can't help but feel like my brother abandoned me on one of the most important days of my life. Am I the asshole for kicking my brother out of my wedding after he refused to walk me down the aisle? Story 8. Am I the asshole for telling my best friend she's ruining her life by marrying her fiancé? My best friend, Sarah, has been with her fiancé for about 2 years, and from the very beginning, I've had my doubts about him. He's incredibly controlling. He's always checking her phone, commenting on what she wears, and dictating who she can hang out with. Sarah used to be this fun, independent woman, but over the past year, I've watched her become a shadow of her former self. She barely goes out anymore. She doesn't talk about her dreams like she used to, and every decision she makes seems to revolve around what he wants. When she told me they were engaged, I was shocked. I couldn't believe she was actually going to marry this guy. I tried to stay positive and supportive, thinking that maybe I didn't know the full story. But as the wedding planning progressed, it became clear that things were getting worse. Sarah even confided in me that they argue constantly, but she always brushed it off, saying, "That's just how he is. He loves me." Last month, we went out for drinks, and she started talking about her wedding plans. I just couldn't hold back anymore. I told her that I didn't think she should marry him. I said she deserved better, that she shouldn't have to change who she is to make someone else happy. At first, she just stared at me, shocked. Then she asked if I was serious, and when I told her I was, she got really quiet. A few days later, she called me and said I had really hurt her. She accused me of trying to sabotage her happiness, of not supporting her relationship. I tried to explain that I wasn't trying to ruin things for her, I just didn't want to see her make a huge mistake. She got angry and said that, as her best friend, I should be standing by her no matter what. Since then, she's barely spoken to me. I've reached out a few times, but she's been distant, and now I'm starting to wonder if I went too far. Maybe I should have just kept my mouth shut and let her figure things out on her own. Some of our mutual friends have told me that I overstepped, that I should have just let her be happy, even if I didn't agree with her choice. But others think I did the right thing by speaking up. Am I the asshole for telling my best friend she's ruining her life by marrying her fiancé? Story 9. Am I the asshole for refusing to invite my stepmom to my baby shower after what she did? My dad remarried when I was 17, and I never really got along with his new wife. My stepmom has always been cold and dismissive towards me, and we've never had a close relationship. When I found out I was pregnant with my first child, I didn't expect much from her, but I certainly didn't expect her to do what she did. A few months into my pregnancy, I found out from a mutual friend that my stepmom had been telling people I wasn't ready to be a mother. She was saying things like I was irresponsible, that I didn't have my life together, and that she was worried for the baby's future. Hearing all of this broke my heart. I'm in my late 20s, I have a stable job, and my husband and I were beyond excited to start our family. Her words cut deep, especially because she had never said any of this to my face. I confronted her, and instead of apologizing, she doubled down. She said she was just concerned for the baby, and that she didn't think I had enough experience with kids to handle being a mother. I was curious. I told her that if she couldn't be supportive, then she had no place in my life or my child's. Fast forward to a few weeks before my baby shower. My dad asked if I was planning to invite my stepmom, and I told him no. He was shocked and asked why, so I explained everything. He just sighed and said, "You know how she is. She's just worried about you." I couldn't believe he was defending her. I stood my ground, though, and said I wasn't going to have someone at my shower who had been talking badly about me behind my back. Now, my dad is upset, and my stepmom has been playing the victim, telling family members that I'm excluding her from her grandchild's life. Some relatives think I'm being too harsh and that I should just invite her to keep the peace, but I feel like I have every right to set boundaries, especially after what she did. Am I the asshole for refusing to invite my stepmom to my baby shower after she badmouthed me? Story 10. Am I the asshole for telling my husband I don't want his mom in the delivery room? I'm currently pregnant with my first child, and I'm getting closer and closer to my due date. My husband and I have been discussing who should be in the delivery room, and naturally, I want my mom there. She's my biggest source of comfort, and I know she'll be able to help me through one of the most intense experiences of my life. But here's the issue. My husband's mom also wants to be in the delivery room. Over the past few weeks, she's been dropping hints, and then she outright said she expects to be there when her grandchild is born. Now, I love my mother-in-law, but I just don't feel comfortable with her being in the delivery room. It's such a personal and vulnerable moment, and I want people around me who I feel completely at ease with. When I told my husband that I didn't want his mom in the room, he got really upset. He said it was only fair, since my mom would be there, and that his mom has just as much of a right to be present for the birth of her grandchild. I tried to explain that it wasn't about fairness, it was about my comfort and what I needed to feel safe and supported during childbirth. He didn't get it. He said I was being selfish and that I was excluding his family. Now, his mom has started bringing it up too, and I can tell she's hurt by my decision. I don't want to cause a rift in the family, but at the same time, I feel like this is my birth experience, and I should have the final say in who's in the room with me. My husband and I have been arguing about this for weeks, and it's starting to create tension. Story 11. Am I the asshole for refusing to pay for my daughter's college after she chose to study art? My daughter just graduated high school and decided she wants to study art at a prestigious art school. When she told me this, I was honestly disappointed. I've always believed she had much more potential than that, and I had hoped she would pursue a career in something more stable, like medicine, law, or engineering. She's always been a smart and hardworking student, and I thought she would use that intelligence to secure a well-paying job that would allow her to have a comfortable life. When she got her acceptance letter and asked me to contribute financially, I told her I wouldn't. I explained that I'd support her if she chose a more practical degree, but I wasn't willing to spend my money on something I didn't believe would give her a stable future. The art world is tough, and the chances of her making a good income are slim. I don't want her to struggle financially later because she didn't choose a career with more job security. She was furious when I told her this. She said I wasn't taking her dreams seriously and that I've always encouraged her to follow her passions, but now that she's doing that, I'm letting her down. My wife thinks I'm being too harsh and that we should support her no matter what she wants to do. She says her happiness is more important, but I disagree. I want her to have a solid future and not struggle like I did when I was younger. Now my daughter is considering taking out loans and says she doesn't need my money, but I can tell she's hurt. She's barely spoken to me since, and my wife says I need to fix things before I lose her completely. But I still believe I'm doing the right thing for her long-term future. Am I the asshole for refusing to pay for my daughter's art degree? Story 12. Am I the asshole for leaving my husband after he got a dog even though I'm terrified of them? I've had a deep fear of dogs ever since I was bitten by a large dog when I was a child. It's something I've struggled with my entire life, and while I know not all dogs are dangerous, I can't seem to shake my fear. My husband has always known this. We've been together for 5 years, and in that time, he's been understanding about my phobia. A few months ago, though, he started talking about how much he wanted a dog. He said he's always wanted one, and now that we have a house with a big backyard, he thought it was the perfect time to get one. I tried to explain that I wasn't comfortable with the idea at all, but he kept insisting that I needed to get over my fear. He said having a dog could be good for us, and maybe it would even help me overcome my phobia. One day, I came home from work to find a large German Shepherd in our living room. My husband had bought the dog without telling me. He was excited and said this was our new friend, but I immediately panicked. I ran upstairs and locked myself in the bedroom, shaking with fear. Since then, we've been arguing constantly. He says I'm being unreasonable and that it's just a dog, and I can't let my fear control me forever. But for me, this isn't something I can just get over. Every time I see the dog, I get heart palpitations, and I feel physically sick with anxiety. I'd even considered going to therapy, but I feel so betrayed by my husband for doing this behind my back. I decided to temporarily move in with my parents because I can't handle being in the house with the dog. My husband is furious and says I'm destroying our marriage over an irrational fear, but I feel like he didn't respect my feelings at all. I don't know if I can go back as long as the dog is there, and that might mean the end of our marriage. Am I the asshole for leaving my husband after he got a dog, despite my phobia? Story 13. Am I the asshole for telling my sister I won't be her maid of honor because of her past comments about my marriage? My sister and I have always had a complicated relationship. Growing up, she was the golden child, straight-A student, always obedient, and the center of my parents' attention. Meanwhile, I was the rebellious one who got into trouble and made life difficult for my parents. Despite all of that, I always felt like we had a good bond until I got married. I married young, at 24, and my sister never let me forget how much she disapproved of it. She made all kinds of snide remarks, like, "You're throwing your life away," or "Are you sure you even know what love is?" At my wedding, she didn't even make an effort to hide her disdain. She was my bridesmaid, but she acted as if it were a funeral, constantly rolling her eyes during the ceremony and making rude comments during the reception. At one point, she even joked about how we would probably be divorced in 5 years. Fast forward 7 years, my marriage is still going strong, and my sister is now engaged. She asked me to be her maid of honor, which surprised me, considering how vocal she's been about disapproving of my life choices. I told her no. I said I couldn't stand up there and support her after how she treated me and my marriage. She blew up. She called me petty and said I was holding on to something that happened years ago. She tried to play it off as just teasing, but those comments hurt, especially when I was going through such an important part of my life. Now she's telling the whole family that I'm ruining her wedding by refusing to be part of it. Our parents are even saying I should just get over it for the sake of peace. But I don't think I'm wrong here. Why should I pretend everything's fine when she's never apologized for how she treated me? Am I the asshole for refusing to be my sister's maid of honor because of her past comments about my marriage? Story 14. Am I the asshole for telling my friend I don't want to babysit her kids anymore because she doesn't pay me? One of my closest friends has 2 young children, and over the past year, she's been asking me to babysit for her more and more frequently. At first, I didn't mind. I love her kids, and I thought I was just helping her out when she needed a break. She's a single mom, and I know how tough that can be. But the problem is, she started asking me to babysit almost every weekend. It went from once in a while to nearly every Friday or Saturday night, and sometimes she wouldn't come back until late at night, way past the time she said she'd be home. I'd end up spending the whole day or night taking care of her kids for free. And she never once offered to pay me, not even for the longer hours. I let it slide at first, because I didn't want to seem petty, but after months of this, I started feeling really taken advantage of. Last week, she asked me to watch her kids again, and I finally decided to be honest with her. I told her that I didn't mind babysitting, but I felt like she was relying on me too much and that I should be compensated for my time. She immediately got defensive and said, I thought we were friends. Friends help each other out without expecting money. I explained that while that's true, she's been asking a lot of me, and I can't just keep doing it for free when it's taking up so much of my time. She got mad, accused me of being selfish, and hasn't spoken to me since. I feel bad because I know she's struggling as a single mom, but at the same time, I don't think it's fair for her to expect free childcare every weekend. Am I the asshole for telling my friend I don't want to babysit her kids anymore because she doesn't pay me? Story 15. Am I the asshole for throwing out my daughter's art supplies after she ruined my bathroom? My daughter is 16 and very into art, especially painting. I've always encouraged her creativity, but recently it's been getting out of hand. She's been using every surface she can find as her canvas, including our walls, doors, and most recently, the bathroom. Last week, I came home to find that she had taken her paints and covered the entire bathroom in her artwork. It wasn't even good, just random splashes of paint and strange drawings that made the whole room look like a chaotic mess. She didn't ask for permission and didn't even try to clean up afterward. The bathroom looked like something out of a horror movie, with neon-colored paint splattered everywhere. I was curious. Not only had she ruined a room in our house, but I had just paid to have the bathroom remodeled a few months ago. When I confronted her, she just shrugged and said, "It's my art, you wouldn't understand." I couldn't believe how dismissive she was about the damage she caused. So, in a fit of anger, I threw out all of her art supplies, paints, brushes, canvases, everything. I told her that until she learns to respect our home and ask for permission before turning the house into her personal art studio, she wouldn't be getting anything back. She cried and locked herself in her room, and now my husband is saying I went too far and that I'm stifling her creativity. I feel bad for making her upset, but at the same time, I can't just let her destroy our home in the name of art. Am I the asshole for throwing out my daughter's art supplies after she ruined my bathroom? Story 16. Am I the asshole for kicking my husband's brother out after he overstayed his welcome? My husband's brother moved in with us 6 months ago after he lost his job. At first, I didn't mind helping him out. He was going through a tough time, and I thought it would be temporary. I told my husband he could stay for a few months until he got back on his feet. We even cleared out our guest room so he'd have his own space. Well, fast forward 6 months, and he still hasn't left. He hasn't found a job, hasn't contributed to any bills, and barely lifts a finger around the house. All he does is play video games, leave dirty dishes in the sink, and act like a teenager, despite being in his 30s. My husband feels bad for him and keeps saying we should give him more time, but I've had enough. It's like we're living with a mooch, and it's putting a strain on our marriage. Last week, I finally reached my breaking point. I came home from work to find the house a mess, and my brother-in-law lounging on the couch, playing video games like usual. I told him he needed to start looking for a job or move out. He laughed it off, saying he was still figuring things out and didn't want to rush into anything. That's when I snapped. I told him he had 2 weeks to either find a job or leave. He got mad and said I was being heartless, that he's family, and we should support him no matter what. My husband is caught in the middle and says I'm being too harsh, but I can't take it anymore. I feel like I'm the only one taking care of this house while he freeloads. Now my brother-in-law is sulking, and my husband's upset with me. They both think I'm overreacting, but I feel like I've been more than patient. Am I the asshole for kicking my husband's brother out after he overstayed his welcome? Story 17. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my husband take our son on a dangerous hiking trip? My husband is an avid outdoorsman. He loves hiking, camping, and all things adventurous. He's been going on extreme hikes for years, often in remote locations, and sometimes in pretty dangerous conditions. I've always supported his hobby, but I've made it clear that our son, who's only 10, is not ready for those kinds of trips. Recently, my husband told me he wants to take our son on a 2-week hiking trip in the mountains. This isn't some easy, kid-friendly hike. It's a grueling trail that even seasoned hikers find challenging. The elevation is high, the weather can be unpredictable, and there's little cell service. I immediately said no. Our son is only 10. He loves spending time outdoors, but he's still a child, and I don't think he's physically or mentally prepared for something so dangerous. My husband was curious when I told him this. He said I was babying our son and that this trip would be a great bonding experience. He insisted that he'd keep him safe and that I was overreacting. But I've seen how intense these trips can be, and I'm not comfortable with the idea of my son being in such a risky situation. We argued for days about it. My husband accused me of not trusting him and said I was holding our son back from experiencing the real world. I told him that I trust him, but that this is about our son's safety, not my faith in his abilities. Eventually, I put my foot down and said there was no way I was letting our son go. Now my husband is giving me the cold shoulder and making me feel like I'm the bad guy for not allowing this father-son adventure. He even told his family, and now they're all on his side, saying I'm being overprotective. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my husband take our son on a dangerous hiking trip? Story 18. Am I the asshole for telling my best friend I won't attend her wedding because she's inviting her ex? My best friend, Sarah, and I have been inseparable since childhood. We've seen each other through breakups, family drama, and career changes, always leaning on each other for support. so when Sarah got engaged to her boyfriend, I was thrilled. However, my excitement took a turn when she told me she planned to invite her ex-boyfriend, Jake, to the wedding. Sarah and Jake were together for over 3 years, and their breakup was anything but pretty. He cheated on her with someone from work, leaving her heartbroken and struggling for a long time to regain her self-esteem. It was tough to watch her go through that pain, and I often found myself comforting her as she navigated the emotional aftermath. After that experience, she vowed never to let him back into her life. When she casually mentioned the invite, I was taken aback. I asked her if she was serious, and she explained that she felt it was the mature thing to do. She insisted that he's changed since their breakup and that their friendship would be a great step forward. I struggled to comprehend how she could want to include someone who caused her so much heartache. As we talked about it more, I couldn't help but express my concerns. I told her I thought it was a mistake to invite him and that it might open old wounds. I reminded her that the wedding should be about celebrating her love and commitment to her fiancé, not inviting someone who had hurt her so deeply. Sarah was adamant that she wanted to include him as part of her past and said it would be awkward not to. Eventually, I reached my breaking point. I told her that if he was coming, I wouldn't be attending the wedding. I explained my feelings, emphasizing that I didn't want to pretend everything was okay when I believed she was making a poor choice. Sarah was visibly hurt and accused me of being selfish and not supporting her happiness. Now, it's been over a week of silence between us. Sarah has given me the cold shoulder, and mutual friends are divided. Some think I'm justified in my concerns, while others believe I should support her decision, no matter what. I feel awful about how things turned out, but I genuinely believe I'm standing up for her best interests. Am I the asshole for telling my best friend I won't attend her wedding because she's inviting her ex? Story 19. Am I the asshole for refusing to help my parents financially after they ignored my dreams? I'm 28 years old, and for as long as I can remember, I dreamed of becoming an artist. My passion for art has always been a huge part of my identity. Unfortunately, my parents have never seen it that way. They've always pushed me toward what they consider more stable career paths, like law or medicine. I can't even count the number of times they told me that pursuing art was impractical and that I needed to find a real job. After years of pressure, I eventually compromised. I went to college for business, believing it would appease them while allowing me to create art on the side. I graduated with a decent degree, but felt hollow working in a corporate job. After 2 years of grinding away, I finally mustered the courage to follow my passion full-time. I took the leap, started selling my artwork online, and even managed to get a few pieces into local galleries. It's been tough. There were many sleepless nights and moments of self-doubt, but I'm finally making enough to support myself and feel fulfilled. Initially, my parents seemed supportive of my decision. But when they realized that I wasn't pursuing a real job, their support waned. They would make offhand comments about how nice it was that I had a hobby, but continued to push me toward more conventional career paths. Their skepticism stung, but I continued to persevere. Recently, they called me, sounding distressed. They were in debt and needed financial assistance with their mortgage. My heart sank. Part of me wanted to help, but I also felt a wave of resentment. They never supported my dreams, and now they expected me to bail them out financially. I told them I couldn't help, and their reaction was explosive. My mom accused me of being selfish, saying that families should support each other through tough times. She said I was punishing them for not understanding my dreams, but I felt like I had been patient for too long. It was my turn to prioritize my own life and career. Now my parents have told other family members, painting me as a bad daughter who refuses to help her struggling parents. It feels devastating. I've been grappling with guilt since our argument, but I can't shake the feeling that I deserve to stand firm on my principles. They never believed in me, so why should I be obligated to help them now? Am I the asshole for refusing to help my parents financially after they ignored my dreams? Story 20. Am I the asshole for not inviting my brother to my baby shower because he dated my ex? I'm pregnant with my first child and couldn't be more excited about this new chapter in my life. As I started planning my baby shower, I envisioned a joyous day surrounded by friends and family. But there's a complication. My brother, Ryan, recently started dating my ex-boyfriend, Matt. Ryan and I have always shared a close bond, but things have become strained since he began seeing Matt. We broke up 2 years ago after a painful split. Matt had cheated on me, and I was heartbroken for a long time. I thought my brother would respect my feelings, but I quickly learned I was mistaken. When I announced my pregnancy, I was looking forward to my brother being excited about becoming an uncle. Instead, he brought up his relationship with Matt in a casual way, almost like it was no big deal. I couldn't believe it. It felt incredibly disrespectful. I told him I didn't want to hear about their relationship and needed him to understand how hurtful this was for me. As I began planning my baby shower, I realized I couldn't invite Ryan. I knew that if he brought Matt along, it would make the day awkward and uncomfortable. I wanted to celebrate this special moment without the tension of having my ex in the room. I carefully crafted the invitations and left Ryan off the list, hoping to avoid any unnecessary drama. When Ryan found out, he was hurt and angry. He called me selfish for not inviting him and said I was punishing him for being happy. He argued that he was trying to move on with his life and that I should be supportive of his relationship. I explained my reasoning, but it only made things worse. He accused me of trying to erase him from my life and said I was making this about me instead of focusing on the baby. Now, I feel torn. I love my brother, but I also need to protect my own emotional well-being during this time. Our parents are divided. Some say I should include him, while others back my decision. I can't help but wonder if I made the right choice, or if I'm letting my past affect my future. Am I the asshole for not inviting my brother to my baby shower because he dated my ex? Story 21. Am I the asshole for telling my husband he can't hang out with his ex-wife? My husband, Mark, has an ex-wife named Laura, and they share a daughter together. Their divorce was incredibly messy. Mark was deeply hurt, and their relationship had many unresolved issues. For the sake of their daughter, they have worked hard to co-parent amicably, which I respect. Recently, Mark told me he was planning to meet Laura for coffee to discuss their daughter's upcoming school events. Initially, I didn't think much of it, but when I found out they were planning to hang out one-on-one, my gut instinct kicked in, and I felt uneasy. I trust Mark, but I also know how easily old feelings can resurface, especially in emotionally charged situations. I brought up my concerns, explaining that while I trust him, I didn't trust the situation. I expressed that I felt it would be best to keep their meetings strictly related to co-parenting. Mark reacted poorly, saying I was being insecure and controlling. He insisted he should be allowed to have a friendly relationship with his ex-wife and that it was healthy for their co-parenting relationship. I felt conflicted. On one hand, I didn't want to come off as controlling. On the other hand, I couldn't shake the feeling that this could lead to complications. The tension in our conversations grew, and it became a recurring topic of argument. Mark accused me of trying to dictate his relationships, and I tried to explain that it wasn't about control, but rather about emotional boundaries. As the date for the coffee meeting approached, I found myself feeling increasingly anxious. I realized that I was holding on to my discomfort instead of addressing it openly. When the day finally came, I felt like I was on edge. After much contemplation, I told him again that I didn't think it was a good idea and asked if we could discuss it further. Now, Mark is angry with me and says that my lack of trust is damaging our marriage. He feels I'm trying to create distance between him and his daughter. I'm left wondering if I'm overstepping my bounds or if I'm justified in wanting to protect my relationship. Am I the asshole for telling my husband he can't hang out with his ex-wife? Story 22. Am I the asshole for not allowing my sister to bring her new boyfriend to my wedding? I'm in the midst of planning my wedding, which is both thrilling and stressful. My fiancé and I are trying to create a day filled with love, laughter, and happy memories. However, I hit a snag with my sister, Kate, who recently began dating a guy named Tom. They've only been together for a few months, and while I want to be supportive, I have serious concerns about Tom. Tom has a bit of a reputation. He's He's known among our family and friends for being a party guy who drinks too much and often ends up causing a scene. Kate and I have always been close, and I've watched her struggle through her last relationship with an ex who was emotionally manipulative. It took her a long time to heal from that breakup, and I fear that Tom might lead her down a similar path. When Kate mentioned that she wanted to bring Tom to my wedding, I felt my heart drop. I told her that I was uncomfortable with it, explaining that my wedding was supposed to be a joyous occasion, free from any potential drama. I suggested that since they were still in the early stages of their relationship, it might be best for her to come solo. She exploded in anger, accusing me of being controlling and judgmental. I tried to explain my reasoning, pointing out that I just wanted a peaceful and celebratory atmosphere for our special day. Kate shot back that I was being selfish and that she shouldn't have to hide her happiness because I was worried about what might happen. I emphasized that it wasn't about her happiness, but about ensuring that my day went smoothly. The conversation escalated, and she threatened not to come if Tom wasn't invited. This left me feeling conflicted. I want my sister to be happy, but I also don't want to compromise the integrity of our wedding. I reached out to some family members for advice, and while some sided with me, others thought I was being overbearing. I never imagined wedding planning would put such a strain on our relationship, but I'm genuinely worried about what will happen on that day if Tom is there. Am I the asshole for not allowing my sister to bring her new boyfriend to my wedding? Story 23. Am I the asshole for not helping my friend move because she invited her ex? My friend Jessica and I have been close for years. She's always been there for me, especially through tough times, and I truly value our friendship. Recently, she asked for help moving into a new apartment, and I was eager to assist her. But then, she casually mentioned that her ex-boyfriend, Eric, would also be there. Jessica and Eric had a tumultuous relationship that ended badly. He cheated on her, and she spent months recovering from the heartbreak. Despite this, she insisted that they were on good terms now, and that it was important for her to maintain a civil friendship with him. When I arrived at her apartment to help, I was taken aback to see Eric there. My stomach dropped. I had never seen her ex in person, and the tension in the room was palpable. As we began moving boxes, I felt increasingly uncomfortable. Eric acted as if nothing was wrong, cracking jokes and chatting with Jessica while I stood awkwardly by. I reminded Jessica of the emotional toll Eric had on her and how hard she had fought to move on. She told me I was being overdramatic and that it was time for her to let go of the past. After about an hour, I couldn't take it anymore. I told her I wasn't comfortable being there while Eric was present and that I would prefer to come back another time. Jessica looked hurt and accused me of being unsupportive, saying that she was trying to create a positive atmosphere. I tried to explain that I was only looking out for her well-being, but she was having none of it. Feeling like I had no other option, I left her apartment. As I drove home, I felt a wave of guilt wash over me. Was I wrong to prioritize my feelings over my friend's needs? Jessica has since texted me, expressing her anger and disappointment, and I'm now worried that I might have damaged our friendship. Am I the asshole for not helping my friend move because she invited her ex? Story 24. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my in-laws stay with us after they disrespected my parenting? My husband and I are new parents, and we've been navigating the challenges of raising our first child together. As you can imagine, it's been a roller coaster of emotions and adjustments. Recently, my in-laws, who live several states away, expressed their desire to visit and help out for a week. Initially, I was excited about the idea of having family support, but I quickly grew anxious about their arrival. In the past, my in-laws have been quite critical of my parenting choices. They often voice their opinions on how I should raise my child, including outdated beliefs about feeding and sleeping habits. During previous visits, I felt undermined and belittled, as if they were trying to assert their authority over my decisions. It created a lot of tension, and I ended up feeling resentful. When my husband mentioned their plans, I felt a knot in my stomach. I knew that having them stay with us would likely lead to more disagreements, and I wasn't sure if I could handle that during such a delicate time in our lives. I approached my husband and expressed my concerns, suggesting that perhaps a shorter visit or a hotel stay might be more appropriate. To my surprise, my husband hesitated. He loves his parents and wants to make them happy, but he also understands my worries. He agreed that our home should be a comfortable space for our baby, but he didn't want to hurt his parents' feelings. After much discussion, I finally decided to tell my in-laws that I didn't feel comfortable having them stay with us. When I broke the news, they were visibly hurt and offended. They accused me of being ungrateful and suggested that they only wanted to be involved in their grandchild's life. I felt guilty, but I was firm in my decision. Now, my husband is feeling caught in the middle, and it's created a rift in our relationship with his parents. Friends and family have mixed opinions. Some say I'm justified, while others think I should just make the effort for family. I genuinely want to maintain my mental peace and ensure a loving environment for my child, but at what cost? Am I the asshole for refusing to let my in-laws stay with us after they disrespected my parenting? Story 25. Am I the asshole for not inviting my parents to my engagement party? I recently got engaged, and I'm overjoyed to celebrate this new chapter in my life. My fiancé and I have been together for several years, and we've been planning a small engagement party with our closest friends and family. However, there's a significant dilemma regarding my parents. My relationship with my parents has always been complicated. They've made it clear that they don't support my fiancé due to his background, which differs significantly from ours. They believe he doesn't come from a suitable family and have expressed their disapproval openly, making it a source of tension over the years. After many attempts to bridge the gap and have conversations about acceptance, I reached a breaking point. I told them that I couldn't invite them to my engagement party, as I wanted to celebrate without the underlying tension and negativity. They were furious when they found out I was having the party without them. My mother called me in tears, saying I was being ungrateful and disrespectful. I've tried to explain my position, stating that I want to surround myself with people who celebrate our love and support our relationship. My parents accused me of being selfish and said I was choosing my fiancé over my family. I feel horrible for hurting them, but I also don't want to compromise my happiness for the sake of keeping the peace. Now, my friends are divided. Some think I'm justified in wanting a stress-free celebration, while others believe I should at least extend an olive branch to my parents. I'm struggling with feelings of guilt, but I also feel empowered in standing up for my relationship. Am I the asshole for not inviting my parents to my engagement party? Story 26. Am I the asshole for not supporting my sister's decision to move in with her boyfriend after only a month? My younger sister, Emma, recently started dating a guy named Max, and they hit it off immediately. After just 1 month of dating, she announced that they decided to move in together. I was taken aback. To me, it seemed rushed, and I couldn't help but worry about her well-being. I sat down with Emma to express my concerns. I reminded her of past relationships that ended poorly and how important it is to take time to really get to know someone before making such a significant commitment. I suggested that they might want to wait a bit longer before making the leap into cohabitation. Emma reacted strongly. She accused me of being overly protective and not trusting her judgment. She argued that she was an adult capable of making her own decisions and that I should support her choices. I tried to clarify that my intentions were rooted in love and concern, but she felt I was belittling her maturity. Despite my best efforts to explain my feelings, she eventually told me that I was being controlling and that if I couldn't support her decision, she didn't want to talk about it anymore. I left the conversation feeling defeated and worried about my sister's future. I care about her happiness, but I also fear that this could end badly for her. Now, our relationship feels strained. I'm stuck wondering if I was wrong for voicing my concerns, or if it was a reasonable thing to do as her older sister. Friends and family are split. Some say I should have kept quiet, while others agree that I was right to express my worries. Am I the asshole for not supporting my sister's decision to move in with her boyfriend after only a month? Story 27. Am I the asshole for telling my friend she can't wear white to my wedding? I've been planning my wedding for months, and as the big day approaches, I'm feeling both excited and stressed. One of my closest friends, Lily, reached out to me recently with some news that caught me off guard. She wanted to wear a white dress to my wedding. At first, I thought she was joking. I reminded her that white is traditionally reserved for brides, and it would be inappropriate for her to wear it to my ceremony. She laughed it off and said it was just a casual, bohemian-style dress, and that it wouldn't look anything like a wedding gown. I told her that even if it didn't resemble a formal gown, the color choice would still be problematic. Lily became defensive, insisting that it was her style and that I shouldn't be so uptight about it. She said I was being selfish for wanting to control what she wore, and that she should be able to express herself freely at my wedding. I felt frustrated. I'd been looking forward to this day for years, and the last thing I want is to feel overshadowed on my special day. After our conversation, I reached out to some other friends for advice. They mostly supported me, agreeing that Lily should choose a different color. However, a few thought I was overreacting and suggested I let it go, saying it was just a dress and that I should focus on the love and celebration instead. I decided to message Lily again, asking her to reconsider her outfit choice. This time, she exploded. She accused me of being a bridezilla and said if I couldn't accept her as she is, maybe we weren't as close as I thought. I felt crushed. I never wanted to hurt her feelings. I just wanted to protect my own vision for my wedding. Now, I'm feeling torn. I want to stand my ground, but also value my friendship with Lily. I'm worried that this disagreement could lead to a rift between us, and I never intended for my wedding to cause such tension. Am I the asshole for telling my friend she can't wear white to my wedding? Story 28. Am I the asshole for refusing to help my brother financially after he abandoned his family? My brother, Mike, and I have always had a complicated relationship. Growing up, he often made choices that left our family in difficult situations, but I tried to support him nonetheless. Recently, however, he took it a step further by abandoning his wife and 2 young children to pursue a life of travel and adventure. When Mike first announced he was leaving, I was shocked and disappointed. His wife, Karen, had been nothing but supportive throughout their marriage, and I couldn't understand how he could just walk away from his responsibilities. After he left, Karen struggled to make ends meet while caring for their children. I offered my support to her, helping with childcare and providing emotional support during this challenging time. A few months later, I received a call from Mike asking for financial help. He claimed he was running low on funds while traveling and needed assistance to cover his basic living expenses. My initial reaction was anger. How could he ask me for help after abandoning his family? I told him that I wouldn't be sending him any money, especially considering his current lifestyle choices. Mike was furious. He accused me of being unsupportive and not understanding the importance of following one's dreams. He argued that he needed to be free and find himself, and that I should want to help him during this journey. I reminded him that he had children who relied on him, but he brushed it off, saying they'd be fine without him for now. Now, I'm stuck in a dilemma. Part of me feels guilty for denying him help, while the other part is resolute in my decision not to support his irresponsible choices. Our parents are divided. Some think I'm right to stand firm, while others believe I should help my brother because he's family. Am I the asshole for refusing to help my brother financially after he abandoned his family? Story 29. Am I the asshole for not allowing my parents to live with us after they retired? My husband and I have built a comfortable life together, and we've recently bought a house. When my parents announced their plans to retire and move to our city, I was excited about having them closer. However, they brought up the idea of living with us. Initially, I thought it could be a good arrangement, but as I considered it further, I realized that having my parents live in our home could lead to a loss of privacy and independence. My parents have always been somewhat controlling, and I worried that having them under the same roof would reignite old conflicts and tensions. I sat down with my husband to discuss the situation. He shared my concerns and suggested that we gently tell my parents that we love them, but preferred that they find their own place nearby. We both believed this would allow for a more balanced relationship while still having them close by for support and visits. When we broached the subject with my parents, they were taken aback. They expressed disappointment and confusion, stating that they had always envisioned living with us during their retirement years. They accused us of being ungrateful and selfish, arguing that it was unreasonable to expect them to find a place on their own at their age. I felt a pang of guilt, but stood firm in my decision. I genuinely want my parents to enjoy their retirement, but I believe it's essential for both our families to have space. Now, there's a tension hanging over our relationship, and I'm worried about how this might affect our dynamic in the long run. Some friends think I did the right thing, while others believe I should have just let them move in. Am I the asshole for not allowing my parents to live with us after they retired? Story 30. Am I the asshole for telling my partner I don't want to have kids after he proposed? I recently got engaged to my partner, Daniel, after 4 wonderful years together. We've talked about our future and dreams, but one topic we never fully explored was the idea of having children. When Daniel proposed, I was overjoyed, but the excitement led to an unexpected conversation about our plans moving forward. As we were celebrating our engagement, Daniel casually mentioned how excited he was to start a family soon. I felt a wave of anxiety wash over me. I've always been uncertain about having children. Growing up, I had a different vision for my life, one that included travel, career advancement, and personal freedom. I've never felt a strong desire to be a parent, and I realized that I needed to be honest with him. I took a deep breath and told Daniel how I felt. I explained that while I loved him deeply and wanted to build a life together, I wasn't sure that having kids was a part of that vision. His reaction was immediate. He looked devastated. He expressed that starting a family was a dream he had always envisioned for himself, and he felt blindsided by my sudden revelation. The following days were tense. Daniel struggled to process what I had said, and I felt guilty for causing him pain. He asked me if I'd ever reconsider my stance, and I told him that while I was open to discussing it, I couldn't promise that my feelings would change. He pointed out that we were at a crossroads and that this issue could define the trajectory of our relationship. Now, I'm left feeling torn. I love Daniel and don't want to lose him, but I also don't want to compromise my values or feel pressured into something I'm not ready for. Friends have mixed opinions. Some say I was right to be honest, while others think I should have kept my feelings to myself until after the wedding. Am I the asshole for telling my partner I don't want to have kids after he proposed? Story 31. Am I the asshole for not attending my best friend's wedding after she disinvited me? I've been best friends with Mia for over a decade. We've been through a lot together, supporting each other through breakups, career changes, and family drama. When Mia got engaged, I was thrilled for her and offered to help plan her wedding, including throwing her a bridal shower. As the wedding date approached, Mia and I had a small disagreement about the guest list. I suggested inviting a few of our mutual friends who I thought would contribute positively to the atmosphere. Mia, however, became defensive and insisted that she wanted a smaller, more intimate wedding with only close family and a few select friends. I respected her wishes, but I felt hurt when she suddenly announced that she had to cut more people from the list, including me. She claimed that with the budget constraints and her parents' preferences, she had to make tough decisions. I was shocked and hurt, feeling as though our long friendship meant nothing to her in that moment. After receiving the disinvitation, I didn't know how to process my feelings. I decided to step back for a bit and give her space. But then, I started seeing photos of her bridal shower and the wedding preparations on social media. The reality of being excluded hit me hard, and I felt devastated. I finally reached out to Mia, hoping to clear the air and express my feelings. I told her how hurt I was by her decision and how it felt like a betrayal. Instead of a heartfelt conversation, Mia responded defensively, claiming I was being dramatic and that she didn't owe me an explanation. I decided then that I wouldn't attend the wedding. I felt that attending would mean I was okay with being treated this way. When I told her, she lashed out, saying I was being selfish and ruining our friendship over something that wasn't a personal attack. Now, I'm feeling a mix of regret and anger. I miss my friend, but I also believe I deserve to be treated better. Friends and family are divided. Some think I should just attend to keep the peace, while others say I'm justified in my feelings. Am Am I the asshole for not attending my best friend's wedding after she disinvited me? Story 32. Am I the asshole for refusing to help my in-laws after they disowned my husband? My husband, Tom, and I have been married for 3 years. He comes from a very traditional family, and we've often clashed over our differing values. Recently, Tom decided to pursue his dream of becoming an artist, which has been a significant point of contention with his parents. They expected him to follow in his father's footsteps and take over the family business, and when he chose otherwise, they disowned him. This situation has caused a lot of emotional pain for Tom. His parents cut off all communication and even went so far as to say they would not attend our wedding if he continued down this path. They've made it clear that they don't want anything to do with him unless he conforms to their expectations. Despite this, I've always supported Tom's choices and encouraged him to follow his passion. However, when his parents recently reached out to me, asking for financial help after facing some financial difficulties, I was taken aback. They expressed remorse about how they treated Tom, claiming they wanted to mend their relationship but needed help to get back on their feet first. I was curious. How could they expect me to support them after disowning my husband? I told them that while I sympathized with their situation, I would not be helping them. I explained that they had made their choices, and now they had to live with the consequences. When I relayed this to Tom, he was conflicted. Part of him wanted to reach out to his parents, hoping to rebuild that connection, while another part felt betrayed by their sudden change of heart. He asked me to reconsider helping them, but I stood firm. Now, our family dynamic is strained. Tom feels stuck between loyalty to his parents and support for me, and I'm feeling resentful. Some friends think I did the right thing by not helping them, while others believe I should have extended an olive branch for Tom's sake. Am I the asshole for refusing to help my in-laws after they disowned my husband? Story 33. Am I the asshole for not allowing my sister to bring her new boyfriend to our family reunion? My family has always been close-knit, and we organize an annual reunion that everyone looks forward to. This year, it's being held at a beautiful lake house that I rented. I invited my sister, Emily, who recently started dating a new guy, Jake. They've only been together for a few weeks, and I haven't had the chance to meet him yet. When Emily asked if she could bring Jake along to the reunion, I hesitated. I explained that our family reunions are typically for close family members, and that I wanted to keep the gathering intimate. I suggested that it might be better for her to come alone this time so we could spend quality time together, especially since I hadn't seen her in a while. Emily was not happy. She argued that if I didn't want to meet her boyfriend, it made her feel like I didn't support her choices. She insisted that she wanted him to be a part of her life and that it was important for me to get to know him. I tried to explain my perspective, but it only seemed to escalate the situation. She called me selfish and controlling, saying I was trying to dictate her relationship and not allowing her to share her life with our family. I felt hurt. I thought I was being reasonable, wanting to maintain the spirit of our family reunion. In the end, I decided to stick to my guns and told her that Jake would not be welcome at the reunion. Emily was curious, and she threatened to skip the reunion altogether. I felt torn, knowing that I might be losing time with my sister over this. Now, I'm left feeling guilty, but also standing by my decision. Some friends think I was right to maintain family traditions, while others believe I should have embraced her new relationship. Am I the asshole for not allowing my sister to bring her new boyfriend to our family reunion? Story 34. Am I the asshole for moving my wedding date because my sister is getting divorced? I've been planning my wedding for a while, and I'm excited about it. My fiancé and I set a date for a beautiful summer ceremony. Recently, however, my sister, Amanda, announced that she is getting a divorce after a tumultuous marriage. She's devastated, and the whole family is rallying around her for support. After hearing the news, I felt torn. I know that my wedding day is supposed to be one of the happiest moments of my life, but I also didn't want to overshadow Amanda's difficult time. I spoke with my fiancé, and we decided to move our wedding date to a later time, hoping to give Amanda some space to heal and not have to navigate her emotions during what should be a joyous occasion. When I told Amanda about our decision, she was overwhelmed with gratitude and appreciation. She said it was incredibly selfless of us and that it took a lot of pressure off her. However, as the new wedding date approached, Amanda's attitude shifted. She began to express her guilt, saying that she felt bad that we were changing our plans for her. She insisted that we should have gone through with our original date and celebrated our love. I tried to reassure her that it was our choice, and we wanted her to be in a good place emotionally during our wedding. However, the more she talked about it, the more I felt like we might have made the wrong decision. Friends began to chime in, saying we were overthinking things and that weddings are about celebrating love, regardless of the circumstances. Now I'm feeling frustrated and confused. I don't want to take away from my sister's healing process, but I also want to celebrate my love and happiness. I'm stuck between wanting to support my sister and needing to stand firm in my own life choices. Am I the asshole for moving my wedding date because my sister is getting divorced?